Good afternoon, and thank you, everyone. The sponsors' messages are getting applause. That's great. It's a good start. Thank you for coming to this session. It's called the Channels and Platforms Talk as part of the MIPTV conference. These are very, very interesting times with the rise and rise of SVOD and the continued importance of linear channels as well for the creation and exposure of content. And I'm very, very delighted to have some very distinguished guests on our panel today. On my left is Julien Borde, who's head of SVOD for France Télévisions. Next to him is Jules Beauquent from Nickelodeon. And then we have Sean Chu from WeKids in China and Mohamed Yeha from Majid Entertainment in the UAE. So each person is going to talk for a little while about their platform and their channel. And then we'll have a little discussion afterwards and also invite some questions from the audience towards the end. So thank you very much indeed for coming, and I'd like to invite Julien to talk first. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Read Media for inviting us and to thank you to take the time at the very beginning of the afternoon to share discussions with us. I spent 20 years in kids now. I spent the first 10 years of my careers at Disney in France, launching the French Disney Channel, which was a very exciting challenge because it was the less Disney channel in the world, because Disney had to cope with quota. You know, French is very constrained by regulation. So I was acquiring 60% of the programming grid with content that had to cope with Disney rules and standard and practice. So that was really fascinating. And why do I mention that today? Because in fact, in 20 years, everything has changed, but nothing really has changed. That Disney Channel was a premium, non-advertising driven channel. And you will see in a few slides that today I'm still doing kind of premium, non-advertising services. Then I moved to France Télévisions and I relaunched the children and youth programming. France is really the country of animation in Europe. And you've seen you can see here the two brands that we launched back 5 years ago, Ludo and Zuzu, Ludo for the kids and Zuzu for preschoolers. France Télévisions is the first commissioner of animation in Europe. We do 15 animated series. We commission 15 animated series a year, 10 for kids and 5 for preschoolers. And we acquire something like 30 animated series and only animation. We are not so interested in live action. We only do animation by regulation, I have to say. This is one of the reasons why French animation is so strong. So 15 series co-produced a year. If you have project, you have to see the people in charge. I'm not in charge anymore. It's Pierre Siracusa and Tiffaine de Raguenal, who are the two new heads of the Children and Youth Department. After having all that work on kids content, I moved to France 3, and I've done franchises, like I do that for years also. So in adults, it's nearly the same. So it was really fun, and I moved at that time of my career, back 4 years ago. I moved to more to the digital part, and that was really, really interesting. And last year, we launched our own multi-channel network, and I think we've been one of the only public broadcaster in Europe to launch such a service. It's been extremely successful. We have more than 200 channels in kids, in drama, documentaries. We make 1 billion views a year. And on those 200 channels, we have 40 channels for kids, and they do 400 million views in 2015. So that's a huge number for us, and it's becoming a real business for France Télévisions. And what we like about that is it's a new opportunity to show our very strong animation properties. And you can see on this slide the 3 most powerful ones: Little Brown Bear, Charlie, and the Raving Rabbits that we share with our friends of Nickelodeon, who are here on stage and also in the room. We can say hello to Nina and Lila. And it's been really successful on all the screens. So, and taking money back to the distributors and producers, because we don't acquire for YouTube, we rev share, and we like that. It's a new way to work with producer, and it's really a good incentive to success. Not only animation is working on YouTube for France Télévisions, but also magazine, dramas, short forms. Samantha Hoops, that you can see here, was a short form series commissioned by France 2 back something like 10 years ago. It was completely dead. You couldn't manage to sell it anywhere, and it's making 10 million views a month on YouTube. And now you can sell it again to a pay TV channel. So it's a very positive journey that we took on YouTube for that property. Science shows are extremely successful. On n'est pas que des cobayes and C'est pas sorcier on YouTube for France Télévisions. Does that work? Yes. So what is next? Last year, we took a lot of time to launch that multi-channel network, and this year we are preparing a new SVOD service that will not only be for kids, but also for adults. You will have drama, documentaries, movies that will be launched next year. That will be freemium. I can't tell too many things because I'm not authorized to, but that will be freemium, that will be multi-genre, and that will be really, really European focused. We will have a lot of content coming from all our cousins around Europe. That was for a little update on what we are doing in digital now and what we will do next year at France Télévisions. And like you know, I'm a big fan of animation, and you can spend 20 years doing animation and living it without giving you a few coups de cœur. So what I do believe for the future is really the interactive part, and I think producers and broadcasters have to be more courageous in taking risks and finding new ways to tell interactive stories. I like episodes, which are working in the US now, but I think we can go further and from scratch build interactive properties. I'm also a big believer in hybrid formats, and we are launching a new show, 7&Me, mixing animation and live action in a few weeks on France 3. The idea came after Roy, in fact. It comes from the BBC policy in production animation and live action, and we decided to do something à la Roy with method animation. And I think it's going to be a very good success for us. I'm also a big fan of non-verbal animation without dialogue, because we've spent so much time on YouTube, and we've seen that on YouTube what works really well, because we are managing global channels, it's really the non-verbal things. And I've brought to you that new show that has been produced by Tant Mieux Animation, Tant Mieux Production, sorry, and commissioned by our digital department with the Children and Youth unit. So you will be the very first to see. It's coming.
Ooh la la.
So it's a series of 26 1 minutes produced by Tant Mieux Animation. And of course, that will be very interactive from the beginning. It's why it's commissioned by our digital department. So you will be able to acquire both the linear series, but also the game at the very beginning. And first of all, I can't finish a presentation without the Owl, which is a property that we launched back 10 years ago. And a new season has been launched in France just yesterday, I think. And it's also a very good example of non-verbal animation that travels very, very well. So we can have a look to the clip. which is in French.
Lundi à
because you are in
10h30
France.
dans Ludo.
Oh, mais oublie tes chenilles 2 minutes et profite du beau temps. Regarde-moi ce ciel.
Pour te faire rigoler, la chouette est prête à se mettre en 4, ou en 8, ou en 132, ou en 1092. 13, 14. Bravo!
On peut quand même pas laisser la grenouille passer sa vie en mode serviteur.
Qui est prêt à partir pour une aventure spatiale?
Ben nous! On est toujours partant pour des nouveaux épisodes de La Chouette. Lundi à 10h30 dans Ludo, sur France 3. Ouh!
Et voilà.
Thank you very much. Just briefly, one of the challenges of the new world is obviously the rights position, and so with the MCN, with say for example your back catalogue, did you have a big challenge with getting global rights for some of your shows, and our producers sort of thinking more and more in terms of giving you global
We have
rights?
challenges with the big networks, like Nickelodeon, for instance. But it's we always find solutions, and
Yes.
I mean we are running a rabbits invasion, raving rabbits channel, and we can adapt country by country. We prefer when we can go global,
Yes.
like our cousins, but we do case by case, and it's been quite easy. In fact, it started by piracy, fighting back piracy, and now it's a real channel strategy. So it's good for everybody.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Jules, would you like to
Kick it off?
to kick off about Nickelodeon? Yeah.
Sure. I think what we probably should do is start with a video. I haven't got a presentation, so I'm just going to talk a little bit after we've shown you some of our content. So if we could roll the tape.
I like openings.
Hey everyone!
Oops, gotcha.
You guys ready to have some fun? What else can we push? High five! It's perfect! I'm doing it! I'm liking it!
Thank you. So you see a lot of different content in this little trailer that I brought. Everything from preschool, live action, animation. You saw also some of the events we're doing, like Kids' Choice Awards. So to start off, I'll just tell you a little bit about Nickelodeon. For those of you who don't know what it is, I hope you all do, because it's been around for a very long time. It's over 30 years now. So we started out obviously as a linear channel service in the 80s, because that's all there was, and have grown ever since. So currently Nickelodeon content is viewed by close to 500 million people around the world. In 180 countries, in over 30 languages. So we are in a lot of places. We have still a lot of linear channels, which are still a large part of our business, but we're also in a lot of other places. So we are obviously in the VOD services. We're also through our program sales division with a lot of other partners, great partners in Europe, Asia, and Latin America, and all around the world where our content is being sold. As well as that, we last year launched an SVOD service in the US called Noggin, which is a preschool SVOD service, and we have since expanded that service into Latin America with plans to roll it out further this year. What do we do? What content do we make? We have a lot of ways of getting to content. Originally, and I think sort of up to about 8 years ago, all our content was really all produced in Los Angeles in our studios there. That was animation, again, animation, preschool, and live action. And since we have really expanded our sort of reach for content, I think the only thing I would add to the previous thing is that also acquisitions was also a large part of our sort of search for content, and still is. But now, for those of you who've seen me before, talked before, a couple of years ago, probably 2011, we started with House of Anubis, which was a live action show we did out of the UK, and that sort of really set us up on a road to start looking for content in a lot of different places in different ways. So what we're doing now is that we are, through our development group in London that's run by Nina Hahn, through our acquisitions group that's run by Leila Lewis, we're really sort of spreading the net incredibly wide to find content really early. So we don't buy a lot of content that's sort of ready on the shelf. We do still. I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute. But what we're really doing now is finding partnerships early on. So we work through various programs with the international creative community. One of those programs is the Shorts program that's run out of the UK, where we work for both preschool and 6 to 12 animation, run a program every year where we invite new creators to come to us with their ideas, and we then the content that sort of comes through, it's a lot of submissions. We actually work with those creators to get shorts made. And they're a really good way for us to sort of test new content in a new format and deciding whether we want to go to a long-form option for that. So that's one way. The other way is really finding partners in various markets around the world. One where we have seen a lot of success is Canada. We are doing a lot sort of in the live action space there now with companies like Breakthrough and DHX. Working with them sort of on live action projects that we can make different types of content that doesn't necessarily get made in our LA studio. So for LA, we're really focusing heavily on the sitcom genre, the Dan Schneider shows that have been incredibly successful for us. And we're really looking at other markets to look at alternative forms of content. That could be anything from daily soap operas to drama to different genres, and really looking around the world for that. What we don't really do is sort of look outside, like how can we make an LA show somewhere else? I think everybody sort of has the specialities. For example, in Miami, in our new studio, we are making a lot of content sort of in this telenovela genre. So we've looked at telenovelas that we've made for our Nick Latin America group and transformed them into an American version shot in Miami. We're looking at the UK quite heavily right now, again with Nina's team, at sort of preschool, as we are now also, we also own Channel 5 as part of our portfolio, so Milkshake is becoming a very important brand to overall our kids space. So working hard on that. And then through Leila's team, as I said earlier, we're really also still heavily focusing on acquisitions. We did a great, very happy with Alvin and the Chipmunks that we bought last year, and it's been a big hit for us, so super happy with that. And so we're really at this mark to sort of see what else is out there. And we're sort of very actively, she and her team are sort of actively really searching the market for that. So if you have anything to sell, please reach out to Leila. But yeah, so it's interesting that it's changed for us so much over the last couple of years. We really do see there is so much out there that in the past we probably tapped into less. I think we really sort of heavily were skewing to sort of probably 85% of our content being sort of LA produced, and then finding shows, great shows like Peppa and Peppa Pig and Ben and Holly out of the UK and H2O out of Australia, and those shows complemented it. I think what has changed nicely for us is that we're able to sort of be part of the creative process.
Thank you very much. And how do you sort of balance the sort of the local aspect of what you do? So you're looking at the UK here and Australia for that, and Canada for that, with the kind of global nature of the Nickelodeon organisation. Are you looking for shows that always work globally, or do you also look for shows that work just locally?
I think that's always our first position. Let's see if it works globally. What we're doing right now, we're actually working on a show in Holland called Working Titles to Ludwig's, which we're filming right now in Amsterdam, which actually came to us from the Dutch team, and what they wanted a local Dutch daily back on there. They had a lot of success with Anubis in the past and with other dailies that we had created in that market. And we thought that actually is a really good idea. Let them make that Dutch show. So what we're doing right now is we're currently filming the Dutch version, and we're literally going straight into for lack of a better word, international version, which is the American sort of British version that we'll be creating there. So for us, it's looking, yes, there's absolutely a need for local content still. We will then also look at like what can we then do with that content to not see, we're less sort of in a wait and see, we're actually sort of now really sort of lined up to really maximize sort of what we do in that market. And I think this is the first for us where we actually have filmed back to back, where we haven't launched something, wait to see how it went locally before we took it globally. So this is going to be an interesting test for us.
Yeah, definitely. And how about, Julien talked about interactivity. Is that something that you also look at with shows at an early stage, or do you tend to look at that later once the show is launched?
Interactivity, how? Sort of.
So launching games or...
sorry. I thought more of the show itself. We had interactivity. We started with Blue's Clues 15 years ago, which was probably one of the first interactive preschool shows that we did. But yeah, we do a lot. We have the Nick Play app that launched this year. Is it this year? Sorry, I'm getting my months muddled up. Last year it launched. Is a really great sort of app for us where all the gaming, it's an app that basically allows us to sort of get our best content out to our audience, to also curate some of our library content so kids can sort of taste what was done in the past, and then have a huge, gaming is sort of part and parcel for what we do now. We have to create a lot of it, and that's, absolutely. It's not necessarily something that in the first idea, when the pitch comes to us, we want to see what's the gaming aspect of that, but it's sort of a part of, you make it work with whatever show we do, there's always something you can do in that space, and it's definitely, it's not a separate thing, it's sort of baked into the production as it is.
Thank you very much. Sean.
My turn? Okay.
Yes, please do.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Chu from China, and I work for a company called WeKids. And for the last 3.5 years, we have acquired more than 3,500 episodes of animation for China market. So here's the simple version of China. When we talk about China, it's very hard to get the whole picture about China, what's going on. So here, there are 4 screens, and above those, 1, 2, 3 to 9 are components we need to deal with in China. So it's about the regulations and operators, technology. It's a combination about everything. So that's the situation right now in China. So the challenge for us, as a distributor, and for those content we acquired, the 2 things that are in our mind is, first to get the maximum exposure for the show, and the second to make some kind of income, for to make sense. So that's the balance we need to make, and right now we have our own digital platform called Buddies TV, and with other third parties platforms, we're trying to get like a brand channels, over there. And at the same time, it's with different platforms, we may have different, business models, either, the flat fee or, profit share, revenue sharing. So that's what we're doing right now. And so here's, maybe you can see, is the titles where we're managing in China. So we're going to continue to buy from this market, and also we're going to start thinking about the co-productions, and to make some things for the new media platforms. And also, because the difference is to other territories, people may know we don't have YouTube or others. So they create a kind of a space for us over there, and and also the regulation encourage people to find different content from new media. So we see the boom of new media. It's just time to get some kind of better better income over there. So in time. So that's what we're doing right now.
So could you explain a little bit about how people can access WeKids or Buddies TV in China? So it's an app, is it?
Yeah, it's an app, and also we work with like OTT platforms like Xiaomi. It's a branded channels over there. We manage it directly over there. So it depends on the platforms like Tencent Video. We iQIYI, we sell there as a flat fee, but we have our channels over there. So the band, branded as a Buddies TV. So people really, can find under our banner, our content.
And it's all on the kids' side, all animation?
It's all animation,
Yeah.
and preschool and 6 to 9.
Yeah. And what sort of proportion at the moment is local, is Chinese content and versus acquired or co-produced content?
For us, right now it's 100% acquired content.
Okay, got you.
So, but we're moving to co-production.
Co-production.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mohammed, would you like to also talk about Majid from the UAE? Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Yahya. I'm coming here to introduce Majid Entertainment, our newest project. Can you have the slides? Can we have the slides on the screen? All right.
Okay.
So Majid Entertainment is a company owned by, a subsidiary owned by Abu Dhabi Media, one of 26 brands owned by the company. Majid manages different platforms from a kids magazine to a TV station and digital platform. The reason behind coming up with this project or coming up with Majid is basically to create content, a localized content for our area, for our part of the world. The mechanism of creating this content, we can summarize it in 6 points. Our main target is to produce informative and entertaining content, to support the role of parents for sure, to provide an entertainment theme, to communicate traditional and moral family values, to inspire kids and children, and for sure to support government initiatives in our part of the world. Majid as a brand started as a magazine almost 40 years ago. One of the first magazine, and I think one of the only magazine in our area in the Middle East. So 40 years of legacy, 40 years of history. We have a circulation till date of 145,000 copies per week, weekly, and we have a community audience of 3 to 30 years old. Majid TV, we launched the channel 6 months ago in September, end of September 2015. The reach of the channel is within the MENA region, so we're reaching more than 100 million viewers across 20 countries. It's a free-to-air TV broadcast across the MENA GCC, as I mentioned. Because of the magazine and because of the long history of the magazine, we have a well-established viewer base, and we have, but now we start also reaching the new kids and the new generation. Since the launch of the channel till now, we can go through our social media platform to show you some numbers, which is compared to our population within the area, especially in the UAE. The channel is doing really good. We have 1.65 million followers within the first couple of months on our social media pages, as Facebook, 300 million impressions on the Twitter. We just launched our gaming platform beginning of this month, and we have over 130,000 downloads for the app itself, and we are expecting around 500,000 very soon. So the gaming platform, as I mentioned, launched in the April 2016. The SVOD platform will be launched by the end of 2016. Majid app, as I mentioned, 130,000 downloads in 20 days without even a marketing campaign, and it is a test period, and we are expected to reach 500,000 downloads by September. Partnership, why we are here? We're here to look for partnerships. We're here to look for creative concepts, creative ideas. We're here to co-produce, and for sure to acquire some shows as long as it's matching with our guideline. We produced, since the launch of the channel, or since the day we launched the channel till now, more than 200 fresh hours within 6 months from our own IPs, from our own characters based on the magazine. We focus at the first season, or what we want on the first season is to produce a classic 2D and 3D animation with the organic feel of and you remember we were discussing this yesterday, me and you, because we wanted to reach the children, the new generation, and at the same time to also try to reach the old major generation, especially with the history of the magazine. I'm going to show you some small trailer about our shows that includes the 2D and 3D animation, and as well the live action series we are producing right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Obviously, the service has done very well for a new service. And what do you attribute that to? Do you think it's the heritage of the magazine, or do you think there's a real demand for the type of service that you've offered in the region, or is it a combination of many factors?
Actually, it's a combination of many facts, but for sure, we created Majid, or we wanted to adapt the magazine into a TV channel. First of all, to fill the gap in the market, especially in our market. We need some localized content. The kids and the newest generation spent the last 30 years focusing on Western type of animation and Western type of kids entertainment. So there was a big and a huge gap in the market, and we wanted to fill this gap and start somewhere. And for sure, the legacy of the magazine and the history of the magazine made this much easier for us, because first of all, we gave the opportunity for the parents to share some moments of their childhood with their kids, you know, and we reflected the safe type of channel for the parents also. So they had most of the parents, when we did a small exercise and small study before launching the channel, and their main comments. They wanted actually a safe content for their kids. They wanted a content that it's not focused on violence and not focused on guns and wars and robots and all these things. So they wanted something more entertaining and edutaining for kids. So for us, we ticked all the boxes. We communicated with the parents and with the children, and we presented something that is doing extremely well till now. So within the first 6 months, we are between the second and the third most watched free-to-air channel within our region, within the whole MENA region. So we managed to, be within the first three most watched channel, which is a good thing for the first 6 months.
Great. And was the magazine distributed across the whole region, or was it just distributed in the UAE?
It's distributed across the region, for sure, focused more on the GCC area, but we still have readers in Sudan and Egypt. And now the magazine, since the launch of the channel, actually the distribution of the magazine picked up like almost 200% due to the fact that the channel is there, the branding and the characters now are more known and more watched.
And in terms of the content, what proportion of the content is locally produced that you have on the channel, and what proportion is still, are you still acquiring Western content or other content from elsewhere in the world?
You know, the good thing is we own a huge library, and this is actually helping us a lot. Like even is helping us generating revenues faster than we expected. But to answer your question, our aim is to reach more than 80% of our content to be produced from our own library, from our own IPs. Currently, we are producing almost 35% of the channel's content. We start by, I think, end of the summertime, we'll be starting to produce original formats for the SVOD platform and for the digital platform. And for now, we're acquiring shows. But within our guideline, if I can say. We're focusing more on entertaining stuff. We're trying to avoid violence. We are trying to avoid all these over action, if I can say, content. And yeah. Basically, that's it.
And we talked a little yesterday about you're also thinking about dual versions. So you're doing shows that you're doing first in Arabic, and then also, as Jules mentioned, also shooting them in English for international distribution.
For us, we're producing all our content in 2 languages and 3 different dialogues. So we have the classic Arabic, and we have the local Emirati Arabic, which is a bit different. And plus, we're producing it in English also. And we started selling our content. So we have markets, lots of markets. Actually, we signed here in Cannes yesterday a distribution agreement with an international company with a minimum guarantee and all these stuff, because they like, markets such as Indonesia and in Asia, they're still also looking for a similar content that of what we are producing, and this is making our life much easier.
You've got a very big smile on your face. Well done.
Thank you.
And if I could ask all the panel, really, the shift towards SVOD has been quite remarkable and very strong. I mean, I think that the linear channels are obviously very important in terms of creating original content and feeding SVOD platforms. But do you feel that the rise of SVOD is changing the type of content that we need to make, or do you think it's the same, just the same content, different platforms? Julien, could I ask you your thoughts on that?
I have the feeling we are just at the beginning of it, and for now you can't really see big differences between what they order and what we order as linear broadcasters, but I think that will change. You can see a few things in what Amazon is doing, especially. If you think about it, there is no point nowadays to order 26 or 52 episodes. Even the duration of the content we produce is really linked to the way the schedules on linear channels were done and have been based back in the 50s in the US. In fact, all our industry revolves on that schedule, hour by hour, half hour by half hour, with a certain amount of advertising. So we still are in that, and I think in the next 10 years we will see that evolve a lot. I have a personal research team at home. My last one, I hate when we do that in the business, but at some point you have to do that and talk about the kids, because kids do count. So my younger one is 7-year-old. And we launched back 3 years ago Slugterra, which I consider is a very, very good action-adventure brand. He didn't watch it on any of our channel, and he watched it on Netflix. In 2 weekends, he watched all the episodes of I think we have 3 seasons of 26 by 26. Yeah. So he had done his first binge viewing experience. And when he ended that, he went to the iPad and downloaded 4 games of Slugterra, and I think it's a very good case study of what's new. And after all, why did NerdCorp frame that work around 26 by 26? They could have decided, if it's been ordered by Netflix, which is not the case, they could have decided to go for 6 or 10 hours of content. That's going to evolve, I think, dramatically in the next year, and I think it will be an amazing opportunity for creators.
For sure. It's very odd when you have your first meeting at Netflix and they say, and you ask them, how long do you want the shows? And they say,
your choice.
Your choice. Yeah. How many episodes do you want? You tell me. It's a very different experience. Jules, how's that?
I agree with Julian. I think there's not a huge change in the content. If you look at the platforms like Netflix and others, the kids' content is really driving a lot of these platforms. What I think is changing a little bit, because kids are not the ones picking what SVOD platforms parents are taking. So there seems to be definitely a move towards sort of known IP, I find, in the SVOD space. And sort of that's what a lot of these SVOD platforms are sold on, like, the show, it used to be a favorite, or we have created a new version of it. And we've done some of those ourselves, like we have brought shows back, and there's the sort of the classic ones that are really often selling these platforms. And you see that a lot, and you see a lot what's happening in the market right now. A lot of shows are coming back, a lot of it is being reinvented from the 70s and 80s. And I think that is definitely aiming at the audience that are now the decision makers, or what platforms are being acquired by a household or taken by a household. So that, I think, is something that is sort of, the way I see it, it's really part of setting up these platforms and making them bigger at this stage. And then, but you do now really see the SVOD platforms also going for more original, sort of new content in the kids space particularly. I think for adults it's sort of different. It's a lot of serialized and a lot of House of Cards and those big tentpole events. But for the kids space, and that is sort of one that sort of really sort of start moving these platforms. And the other thing I think is volume. They want a lot of volume. It's not, as to Julian's point, they don't really care how long the show is, but a lot of these SVOD platforms are sold on volume. Like, we've got 4,000 hours of kids content, and your kid can watch all weekend back to back. So that is, I think, sort of what's changing for us, because we're not in the as original sort of what Nickelodeon does. We're not really in the volume play business, so we don't just buy, like, we buy probably a little bit more discerning at times of what we bring to our platforms. So that is, I think, what's changing a little bit, what's changing the game a little bit.
When you watch at any SVOD platform in the world, half of the content proposed is around kids. And why is it? And this is why I started by saying everything changed, but nothing changed. Back 20 years ago, when pay TV channels were launched, the kids' channels were, for those platforms, would that be Sky in the UK or Canal in France, the kids' content was really the anti-churn ultimate tool, and still it is. Because households who have kids don't unsubscribe to Netflix or to any SVOD platform, because it's really hard to say no to your kids. Every parent knows that. So it's really a very good thing for our business that we are back in that thing of really meaning something for those platforms, because commercial-wise, we are really, really important to them.
Yes, completely. Sean, in China, the market is so very complex.
Yes, it is.
But again, are you seeing a change in the type of content that is being produced in China or being acquired for the Chinese market because of the new ways in which children's programs are being consumed?
Yeah, for some kind of like for older kids animation, a producer trying to make a link to gaming, so they can get enough support from gaming industry and also advertising industry to support completely those kind of animation right now. Right now, without participation of traditional broadcasters, so even they don't bother to be on traditional. So right now it's happening right now. So for younger kids, I think it's about time when those OTT platforms can reach like enough family, so they have enough subscribers, pair families, and also maybe can link it to like a toy and educational materials. Then I think they have enough money to produce. So right now it's in the transition.
Mohammed, you obviously have a linear channel at the moment, but you're launching SVOD and other platforms later this year. Do you think that's going to slightly change the way you're approaching content, or not at the moment? Do you think it'll be more or less the same?
Actually, if we are focusing on our age group, on our targeted age group, up to 12 years or to 14 years old in our area, and we did a small study about this and a small exercise, the children still prefer to watch their favorite content on TV, and I think the parents also would prefer they prefer to invest and to subscribe in pay TV other than subscribing in SVOD, because they still want to be in control, if I can say. They still use the TV as a treat for their kids, so they don't want them to spend a weekend in their room watching their favorite shows on TV. But the gaming platform is doing really good for kids. The short formats on the digital, we're using a short formats content to promote our shows on TV. So we are trying to, even on the SVOD, our strategy now is not to launch, we are producing a special content for the SVOD, but we're not adapting the original content from the TV to SVOD, because I think, and we are pushing to keep at least for the another 5 years, to keep the kids and to keep the audience attached to the traditional linear TV, and focusing on creating different content for the digital, and especially the gaming. The gaming is a great way to generate revenues, and the short formats also, it's a great way to promote the show and to attract more audience.
Fantastic, thank you. So I'm guessing we have some producers in the audience, and they'll be thinking, how can I work with the people on the stage? Julien, are there things that are particularly working, or that France Télévisions is particularly looking for, or that you're looking for the SVOD and interactive platforms? Are there shows that producers should be thinking about? And could you talk a little bit about the models that you operate for producers?
For now, we are not ordering yet for SVOD, so we are just in the development phases. So we are watching at the thing that we could find that would be different from the channels. What is very positive with the AVOD in France is really the fact that you can now address younger preschool. We were not doing at all toddlers in France, opposed to the US or many other markets. So we find that YouTube, really parents use it for very young preschoolers, because they don't find, in fact, content on the linear classic channels. In terms of new project, like I said, I think we are all far too conservative regarding gaming, regarding watching starting from the very beginning, developing interactive content. So we are more than open to any project that would start from that perspective. And I think in the next session, you will see Claire Heinrich, who is acquiring for France Télévisions, with a very good contact point for all of you.
Thank you. Jules?
Sure. For us, it's, if you saw the little clip earlier, you know what content we make. So I can say we're looking for comedy, and we're looking for all the ones, and that's, I think, part and parcel. We come every year to every market saying that and meaning it. That's what we want. But I think specifically at the moment, we're focusing focusing on sort of bridge content, actually, opposed to what Julien is saying. We're looking for a little bit more of a bridge content out of preschool into younger, so in the 5 to 7 bracket. And to use an example from an acquisition, it's like Alvin is that sort of goes even further. It goes older and younger, but it's really looking at slightly older preschool. Our preschool is a little young at the moment, and that's sort of what we're focusing on here. The other thing is, how do you work with us? One is obviously acquisitions, which is acquisitions. It's pretty straightforward how that works, even though the deals are not straightforward anymore, given the complexity of rights. So that is always something to bear in mind. We are not adverse to working with other partners in markets, but it is becoming more complicated. So exclusivity is something that is key, and that's why we often come in very early and also work accordingly with the creator in sort of how it gets funded and how much we fund it for. The days of adding in some VOD rights as part of an acquisition deal are long gone. It's a much more complicated and lengthy process. The other thing how you can work with us is really with original ideas and coming to us early. One, if you have an idea how it could get funded and we could be part of that, that's one thing. But also if you have sort of part of your funding in place and you're looking for somebody to come on board, that is something we would do. But in that case, I said always it is the early stage that we would like to be part of it. We really want to be part of the development process. And then Nina and people from her team will really be sort of allocated to the individual projects. And then finally, it's sort of an original idea that just you're a creator and you want to try and work with a partner like Nickelodeon. You come to us and then we can work with you. We can either partner you with another creator. So if you're a great writer, but you're not an animator, like what we've been really good at matching people up sort of internationally with, and creating small teams to sort of get a project really moving.
just to precise, I was talking about the AVOD on toddlers for France Télévisions. We are also big believers in bridge because kids are living what we are doing for them younger and younger. So the 4 to 7, 4 to 8 is really interesting, and we would look at any project on that target group.
Good. Sean, how can
well, you know, we're continue to acquire new content for preschool with educational features, and also I'm looking for new ideas, you know, to co-produce for the next step. So that's it.
Mohammed?
Less action, more fun. We will get it. That's it. Very simple. This is what we want.
Thank you. I'd like to see if there are any questions from the floor. If anyone would like to ask any of our panel any questions, could we have the house lights up? And I think there are some microphones roaming around. There's a lady here who has a question, please. If you could wait for the microphone to reach you. Thank you.
I would like to ask Majid, if possible. Are you only looking for content for young ages, or could it be also for like ages like 13, 14? Is it also for youth or only
kids? It's up to 14. Our main audience target is 6 to 14.
6 to 14. Okay, I would. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll talk.
Yes, there's a question over here. And thank you. Yeah.
This is a question for Julian. You spoke about the short form on YouTube and then reselling it to linear channels. Please explain the value of that, since it's on YouTube and it's for free, and then vice versa.
Yeah, we are big believers in the fact that you have to give maximum exposure to content. So on that case, the show was nowhere. It was not on a terrestrial channel, not on a pay TV channel. And we relaunched it on YouTube. And as the numbers are here, viewers are here, I think the people who sell content will use it to sell it again to pay TV channels. Because when you arrive to broadcasters to sell, if it is a show that is nowhere, in fact, you don't have any rationale to explain how successful is the show. Yes, the show was successful back 10, 15 years ago. But nowadays, the show is really successful on YouTube, so a little pay TV channel may acquire it in France. In animation, we have had good examples of that on Mr. Bean animated series, which was not a big success on any channel, I think. Maybe the Cartoon Network people will not agree on that, but it was not a huge success. It's been huge on YouTube, and then it has helped I think Fremantle to sell it to many channels around the world.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. There was a talk the other day where someone said that I think Minecraft is now 10% of all YouTube viewing, and I can believe it from my kids and what they're watching on online. But I haven't seen that kind of content, that playing games, Minecraft Let's Plays, transferred to TV at all. And I was wondering if that's something that's on broadcast agenda. How do you? Kids are watching other people play games online, but that's not really on TV. Is that going to continue?
I know there is a series on Nickelodeon on that subject, no? On gaming, which is quite fun.
Well, we have a show called Game Shakers, which is the new show from Dan Schneider, which sort of talks about, it's a sitcom around the subject. I think we always say there's a reason why kids play Minecraft and they watch other kids play Minecraft, and it's a great space to look at that is on YouTube. We don't feel it's necessarily a series on television, and I think everything has its place and where it needs to be. I think you can definitely gaming as a part of sort of a story on your air, whether it's in an animated series or in, as we do in a live action show, is absolutely a way to do it. But my thing with that is I feel that is a great space where it is, and one day that could expand into another online offering. But to transfer it to linear television, I find that a hard
I believe kids know the way. They have specific platforms like Twitch to go and find content, and Twitch does make live sessions of e-gaming. They are not expecting that from our offer, but those new kind of formats do impact what we will do in the future. And the thing that I'm very positive about, it's preparing a generation of very good animators, because kids spend so many time, hours, building new universe. Once those guys are in position of building new series, maybe just in their room and not with production companies, that will be fantastic.
But also, I think, I know Yogscast, for example, are developing characters that they've created for Minecraft as a television series, and you also have the hugely successful Raving Rabbids. So the characters from games, I think, will cross over more to television.
But that we were doing in the 80s. We were doing Pac-Man in the 80s. We were doing Super Mario. All those things have been on the business for years.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Yes, I have a question for Julian and Jules, specifically about the conversion of YouTube viewers to your own sites or your own apps. And I'm not just talking about catch-up, but also games. Because there's this kind of myth that if you promote certain program brands or certain channel brands on YouTube, you're going to get a very high conversion onto your own sites. So I just wanted to know if this is a myth or if this is actually happening.
This is happening. This is again, everything changed, but nothing changed. Honestly, it's doing scheduling like we were doing on pay TV. We are proposing binge viewing sessions of content on YouTube. We are building cross-promotion to promote our brands, our linear appointment viewings, and the links are really very well working. And the good thing is it's an opener universe. You can also build cross-promotion with channels that you don't own entirely. With partner, on Easter, you can decide to make something with Nick, maybe one day, or with DHX back catalog. It's easier. And I always give that example. We have one person who manages 40 kids' channels. And what she does is she's doing programming, scheduling, owner promotion, legal, and making it very efficient. So yes, it's working.
Thank you. Any other questions? Fine. Well, thank you very much indeed for coming. I'd be very grateful if you could thank our panel for taking the time to speak. Thank you.